Friends and family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. Well, as Greta Thunberg was apprehended by the Israelis and the flotilla was stopped, we have massive riots happening across Europe. Smokescreen 101. During that time, we have Russia integrating nuclear weapons down into Venezuela and also new aircraft. These are Generation 5 aircraft. Be on a high alert, America, Navy. We're not fighting Venezuela here. We're fighting Russia and China. China's falling apart. China's really our enemy. Vladimir Putin is not, but if we keep on being led by Benjamin Netanyahu, and so it seems we are going to be facing Russia and the alliance of the entire world because we're following pagans as they sacrifice all of their neighbors for some greater Israel. Now, in the Bible, Jesus talks about his own people, and he calls them so many different words. What you're seeing is the admiral, and this is coming back on into this. This is the Admiral Nakhimov. This is bad news for the United States Navy. Heads up, this is a aircraft carrier destroyer. It's being unleashed. As far as what it's got on it, it's basically 4 of our battleships combined, and it's got some stuff and toys on it that we can't compete with. There is no defending what this thing has. It's got 80 cruise missiles, and it's geared up to destroy NATO, and Putin has released it. This is brand new stuff right here. Our stuff is not brand new. This is brand new, and this is retrofitted. It's got 2 nuclear-powered 150 megawatt, 300 megawatts. It's geared up for 15 years without service. It's being released. 80 cruise missiles, 96 surface-to-air missiles. It's got these 3 M14T caliber missiles that you've seen that we can't defend ourselves against, and the 3 M22 Zircon, which goes Mach 9. Now, this bad boy's only 827 feet long, but heads up U.S. Navy, heads up NATO. This is something that we really don't want to piss off. And I'm going to say that because this has 96 updated S-400 missiles, and if that's what he's saying, if Putin lies about anything, he lies about underperforming. I'm going to say it's got S-500s. I'm going to say these puppies go as far as Patriots. They're claiming also a 2,500-mile range on the new upgrade, and these surface-to-air missile carriers are prepared to hit 96 ships out. We also had a confrontation with our F-35 versus their White Swan, and guess what? It kicked our butt in the sky, and we couldn't keep up with it. These are facts, and they're pumping these things out in factories. They're pumping out the Foxbat. They're really pumping these out quickly. I've got data. I've got video inside of their warehouses. We are fighting entities that are creating bombers every day when we're using our relics that are 40, 50 years old from the Reagan administration. These are facts. We don't even make bullets, munitions. Our titanium's coming from China. Who are you fooling? So that's why I'm getting together with greats such as Brock Pierce, Joby Weeks. They got Joby in the can because he was exposing Epstein Island. But I believe in my friends and what we can do, and I'm going to go on some various things here. By the way, I got a new book out for sale. It's at Amazon. It is my book, yours truly, The Emperor Wears New Clothes. In it, I'll show you how to be completely sustainable, how you can harvest water from your air conditioning unit, distilled water, what you need to be off-grid in case shit hits the fan, and it might. Now, we got some stuff. I'm going to get into the nuclear stuff, but right now, Prime Minister Macron loses his 8th Prime Minister 14 hours after he gets into office. This is a record set. He does not have an office. He's basically Obama 2.0 for France. He's ruining France right before our eyes. He's ruining it, but you know what? Who didn't know about that? Who couldn't see that coming? And there's a lot in common between Macron and Obama, including how they live. Nukes this close to America. Could this be happening, America? Well, I'm going to let you know. What if would happen if we found Russian nukes in Venezuela? Now, you remember as far as the Cuban Missile Crisis, and when Russia went in with a very old loud sub and very old loud equipment, I said, you know what they're doing? They're making it where we can't see what they're really bringing in underneath of that loud equipment, because sound travels so much better underwater. And they did that because they were planting Poseidon, and right now they're working with Maduro down there, and it's because, all in all, it's because we made a major oil discovery from the Amazon mouth up into Suriname into Venezuela. And because we're owned by Benjamin Netanyahu and AIPAC, we're letting this country violate the Constitution. Article 2, Section 4 clearly states that bribery is prohibited, and there's no difference between bribery and lobbying. And we've let these lobbyists own us to the point where our pathway to peace is now a pathway to war as we kiss Israel's ass. A little pipsqueak country, and by the way, if you add up all the debt, $9.6 trillion of our debt, almost a third, from the same people that are robbing our hands from Peter to pay Paul, as they pretend that they're helping us as they kill every neighbor they have, because these are Zionists. They're not Jews, but they definitely are pagans. When you read the old Bible, I want you to understand certain things, and these certain things are pretty, lock on. As far as staff, stop texting me or I'll fire your ass. Leave my ass alone right now. Comprende? Now, as far as the nukes in Venezuela, we got to be concerned. And as far as the China's J-36 and the MiG Foxbat 5141, these are updates happening now. I'm saying that because you're going to see this. We're also seeing how Iran has cloned what Obama handed over as far as the stealth bomber, which Israel is going to have to take on in the next coming days should Netanyahu continue to threaten everybody around him using U.S. equipment. As it stands, we've let Netanyahu disassemble the EU and NATO as we let AIPAC blindly, and I mean they are bribing every congressman, every politician. If we find that you have a dual passport or have gone to Israel, I think those are grounds for you being terminated and fired. If you wave another flag, you violated the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, you should be fired. And we, the people of the United States, notice that you have not run a government for 10 days now, so you should be fired because all you do is lie to us and stimulate any war that Israel wants while they do nothing but kill every neighbor they have. Who are you fooling with these hostages? You understand that what you're trying to tell us is somehow these poor Palestinians that are starving to death have thought enough to give food to the only Israelis in Gaza for 2 years straight. And then when we see these hostages, they're not emaciated, they're pretty fat, meaning this is all theater, and you expect the American public to believe that these are somehow hostages when, truth be known, all the actors left Hollywood and now are performing on behalf of Israel for you and I. All from October 7th, when this didn't start then. No, since we have basically funded Israel since inception, they've blackmailed us, they've killed our presidents from John F. Kennedy, they've used agents, provocateurs like Hillary Clinton to take out Nixon, and then continue to destroy our country and to blow up buildings like 9/11, to blow up documents in Oklahoma City bombing events, to blowing up the president of Syria's building, to blowing up the president of Iran's building, all the same blueprints of Mossad and the CIA. And when we look at Charlie Kirk's murder, we know it's not a 30-06. We know it's not this kid, Tyler Robinson, but the media behind it. They bought the Dairy Queen. They bought and paved over where Charlie Kirk died. So you and I know, regardless, there's big money behind this, and the only people with money like that is us through the CIA or Mossad, the same people that Charlie Kirk said that he was turning down their money and that they needed another evil henchman. So why is it that Candace Owens and I, Why is it that Clayton Morris and I are the only ones that stand? Now there's this Nick Fuentes standing strong with the Hodge twins and other people, as we, the Americans, are not fooled by the purchased Cash Patel, as he makes Diane Bongino look like a bongo, because we're not buying it. And what did you do? You killed the messenger being Charlie Kirk. You murdered him, just like you murdered Martin Luther King, just like you murdered JFK. But that's okay, because Jack Ruby, we didn't know he was Jacob Rubenstein until recently. And it wasn't until AI put it together to tell us that the blueprints of the Kennedy assassination was, in fact, the government of Israel. MiG-41, the jet so fast, even missiles can't catch it. What you're seeing is real, and it is something that is out there. And these are things that are on the way. Also, newsflash, we had a 7.4 massive earthquake hit the Philippines. Our prayers are with the people of Mindanao and the Philippines. This is a 7.4, pretty massive. What you're seeing is China's J-36 fighter jet, and it's scarier than what we imagined. They did some copycatting on our Aurora project, and they have come out. And we've seen this in multiple UFO videos now going across the world. But in fact, if it wasn't our Aurora project, it is now known as China's J-36 fighter. This is a very real piece of technology. People are seeing it around. It's evasive. It flies everywhere, and it's got some air dominance that we need to be concerned about. So somewhere deep in the Pacific Command control room screams, and we basically noticed this thing creeping up on us, and we could not keep up with it, and it discovered some dominance with it. And it basically doesn't just rival F-22s and F-35, it rewrites the rules of air warfare. And with this and drones, they left this thing go out with the multiple series of drones attached to it that look like it. And of course, the G's these drones can do are things that humans can't do inside of these aircraft. While we were asleep at the helm through Jackwagon Joe, and perhaps even now, as the gerontocracy of the United States, the Geritol crew believes in bullets, whereas drones, vaccines, radiation, these are the tools of China that we need to be concerned about. And with these crafts are now very real. And we're seeing it everywhere. And I would like to say this is a Generation 6 puppy here. And we have things to be very concerned about. These are just facts. Flashing over to the Philippines, we have a lot of plate tectonic action that's been going on from Japan, from Kamchatka down into Indonesia. And of course, the Philippines are going off right now. And this powerful 7.4 earthquake struck off the coast of Davao Oriental in the southern Philippines on October 10th. And according to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, the tremor, which occurred at a depth of about 58 kilometers. Now, this is pretty deep stuff, just so you know. For a 27, 32 mile deep rupture that we have down there. Beneath the seabed sent strong shaking waves ripping across Mindanao. Tsunami warnings are going to be there and for everyone else. This is something that could be the tip of the iceberg. Now, our First Lady was live not too long ago. I posted this. And she is for the children. And she's trying to work with Vladimir Putin. The neat thing is they can speak to each other in Russian. And she's putting our kids first, and we need to do that. We need to stop the war in the Ukraine, and we need to save the children there and rebuild the infrastructure that they have. I'd like to ask, since when did Russia become our number one enemy? And I want you to know it's Jewish propaganda that has created this. You see, Russia sold us Alaska back during the Civil War, and we've had a strong Christian alliance with Russia since inception. This propaganda, this Russian collusion, was a Democrat tool. If anything, I firmly believe that Mother Russia and the United States and Uncle Sam need to bind together through Christ to save the remnants of what's left of Europe, to save the remnants of what's left of the United Kingdom, Norway, and Ireland. I'm prepared with great United States citizens like my friend Brock Pierce, and I want you to know that friends of mine like Joby Sinclair Weeks, we have a lineage that goes back generations from President Pierce, from Charles Henry Sanders, Norman Sinclair, and Sinclair Oil Company. And we are our brother's keeper. And our government today is not practicing that. And together we need to bind together. And I'm getting to be an old fart. But I said, I can't drill, baby, drill and have our coal and all of our bad fuel go to China. Because you see, they're making bullets and they're making explosives with that, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And so we're creating American-made bullets with Brock and Joby and I. We had some people get together and raise perhaps maybe $5 million for me to run for governor in South Dakota. At the same time, have Brock Pierce run for governor in the state of California. And with his crypto genius, I think that he could turn the state around into the trillions of dollars in profit instantaneously, while then working with natural gas and gas giants such as myself, because America's AI and crypto future looks pretty bright, in my opinion. Now, I want you to know, as we flash forward across the globe over into Italy, there's a war. It's a very old war starting up again. It's the Christians versus the Muslims, and the Italians are wanting to see these Palestinian children with food, as does the world, as America stands alone with the dictator that has purchased our politicians through AIPAC. And this was exposed recently, even in the state of New Mexico, by a young girl whose dad was so exposed she was shocked. She had to share it with the world on how her dad was basically purchased by AIPAC. And now he's become this pro-Israel person out of the blue from the money that they've received. Now, Meloni declares a war on the Islamic symbol. Today, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy party proposes a controversial burqa plan. The draft law targets clothing, obstructed facial recognition in public areas, and now that we're bringing that facial recognition up, I want everybody in America to know that when you went to Charlie Kirk's funeral and when we had these gatherings at various other places, that the Israeli Jews used it as a way to track us in our movement and gather us together as if we're some sort of mob militia. Now, why is that? Could they be the money behind what has happened? Could they be worried? I will leave those questions up to you, America. These are very real facts, but we need to consider why we're 277,000 Californians monitored and tracked that cared about Charlie Kirk. Why were the people at Turning Point tracked, and why are they tracked today? And why is it if you want money from our federal government, you have to allow the Israelis to participate in your business, and the only thing they do is monitor and track your every move? So as long as you accept spying, as long as you're pro-murder for children in their cause, in their name, as long as I want to sit on a soap stool and say, Netanyahu's the guy for me, he's so amazing. Have you seen the people that he's taken over today? They'll give me $7,000 if I was that kind of a puppet. Every time I get on a soap stool and talk about how great Benjamin Netanyahu is, what a wonderful man he is. $7,000 in an account. So anybody that does that, I want you to know that Mark Levin, that Ben Shapiro, that these peoples are just agent provocateurs working for Netanyahu, working for us, stolen money from us to you by them. And I can give you a long list, but perhaps underneath here as we stream, you can basically, from Silverstein to Soros, type them out. Zelensky. The list grows on and on and on. As you see, we have stuff falling apart at the seams in Israel and in Italy. Jimmy Dore, pretty darn good guy. He's helping us out with truth too. Very good person trying to find the truth. And Charlie Kirk predicted his own assassination 24 hours before he died. Did you know that? Oh yeah, and only friends like Jimmy Dore and people like maybe Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and I are the only truth seekers, because Charlie Kirk deserves more than he's getting. So did Martin Luther King, and so did John F. Kennedy. But when you have the same killers behind them and they own the media, the truth is what they say it is. Now, as this other stuff goes out, I want you to think about Greta Thunberg being detained. What would I think, being a United States Texas oil man, about a young child trying to feed a bunch of Palestinians? I'm so pro-oil and conservative. What do you think I think about Greta? Well, I think that every child deserves to have the dream to keep their planet beautiful. That's what I believe. And so even as I drill for oil, I drill for natural gas. And natural gas is one of the cleanest ways in which we can keep our country and our planet alive. And it's one step away from hydrogen and clean and pure energy. Jimmy Dore, I'd like to thank you also for going after the truth. Candace Owens, you too. You're doing a tremendous job out there, because through all the footage, we're seeing the men that were around Charlie Kirk doing these handoffs in slow motion right after he gets hit. 100% suspect. So is the camera, the hologram, all of this type of stuff, but we do have a dead Charlie Kirk. We have immediate suspect actions. We have a phony story with 30-06 and transgenderism. All courtesy, in my opinion, of the CIA working in tandem with the FBI in Israel, and I've lost faith in them altogether over this. So you haven't seen me as much, because when they want to give me a whole bunch of crap, well, you're dividing the MAGA party because we don't buy it. You killed the messenger, and we know it. And I thought he deserved a lot more than what he's getting. And I want to thank you, Candace, for defending white chocolate and Jesus Christ. Truly.
And feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill him? Now, to answer...
I think I know who the they is. I'll tell you who it wasn't. It wasn't Venezuela. It wasn't Iran. It wasn't Russia. and I'm almost 100% positive it wasn't a trans lover. What a convenient story, huh? The guy in love with a trans person is the guy who pulled the trigger. And but she's going to figure out who the they are. And you know how I know she's going to? Because she said so. Listen to what she says.
If I found Brigitte's penis, I will find who killed Charlie Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
I love Candace Owens. I think she's fantastic. Don't have to agree with somebody on everything, but we agree on a lot. And that's what they don't want. They don't want people on the left and the right to realize that you agree on a lot and that you share a common enemy. That they don't want that. They want you to keep thinking the problem is the other half of the country. Not the oligarchs that run the country, but the other half of the country, the workers, the people who are suffering just like you under these oligarchy. They want you to blame regular people, workers, and people lower on the economic ladder than you for your problems. Don't fall.
I want you to realize what's happening in the world right now. Right now we have Paris and France falling apart. We have London falling apart. I see Paris, I see France, I see the underpants getting taken out by Netanyahu. And we have this happening everywhere right now. And it's something that's out of control. So this is France. But don't think that America doesn't look different. In Chicago and Portland, we have the same type of war that's going on. It might be out of sight at your house, but it's going on right now. The National Guard's going out. Trump is sending numbers. A lot of people are going to speculate about these numbers. For instance, 300 guards here, 800 guards here. Back during the days of Kennedy, he would send 30 to 60,000 troops to a college to straighten crap out, and people would die. And we had a draft. And if you don't think those times are coming, think again. So, understand what you're looking at. Understand that America is looking the same way. This flotilla, in what Greta Thunberg has, this is the unification of how the people of the United States and Europe feel combined, sharing the same enemy, being Benjamin Netanyahu. It's not the people of Israel. It's the government of Israel. It's not the people of America. It's the government of America. And the government of America is owned by the government of Israel. And the founding fathers in Article 2, Section 4, they made laws prohibiting bribery. And that is what is destroying America today. The bribery of Israel through our Congress and Senate, how they've controlled our president recently. We voted for a pathway to peace, but yet now we're on a pathway to blow up every single person Netanyahu tells us to. And because of that, we're losing OPEC, we're losing the petrodollar, and we're declaring war on Venezuela because we need their oil from Suriname to the Amazon. I ought to know you have my best crew out on reserve. So you can see all these things happening.
Palestinian state, but it takes no action to sanction the genocidal state of Israel. What it has done in Gaza, what it is doing to the Palestinian people, is a crime against humanity. And France is complicit in this act of piracy, this act of genocide, this colonial act. And we condemn this attitude of the French state. The raid.
I want you to understand. This is the criminal that's dividing America. We did not vote for this guy, so why is the man we voted for defying his platform for this man? If you honestly believe that there have been hostages for 2 years and they're being returned as everybody starves to death in a land, wake up and understand theater. Theater 101. This is the director and the producer behind me. They're not getting away with murder. And we have politicians that are exposing the truth. So there are certain patriots that are doing their job. This is one of them, one of the hardcore patriots of the United States. She was my candidate for vice president with Kristi Noem, and she should have been. Because we wouldn't be doing this bullshit today if this was our vice president, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would definitely defend her with my life because she's worth it. And you're doing a fantastic job in America. Thanks you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you don't like her, get off my show. I'm not running commercials. So if you're basically a snowflake, go kiss the snow somewhere else. What I want you to know is that through her exposure, through Matt Gaetz' exposure, we're exposing Israel, and nobody else is paying attention to the facts that Putin is moving nuclear weapons close to home. Close to home meaning Venezuela, meaning Cuba, Nicaragua. These are places that are on the map, and guess what? The president of Mexico is not a Mexican. She's a Jewish lady. And somehow I believe that we're going to have nukes there too, so that the propaganda for Israel grows until they take over the world. That's not just a theory, it's a fact. And if you let the current situation continue, America will continue to be a puppet for this fact at the cost of freedom, at the cost of liberty, Even it says that we could not fund and uphold. Congress shall make no law regarding the respecting an establishment of a religion, but yet every dollar we give Israel respects Judaism, and every dollar we give everybody else respects Islam. And that rock that I stand on is called Jesus Christ. So why do you ask from me? Is it because your house has fallen that is built on sand? You need to know the facts, dear friends. What we're fighting, what we're looking at. I want you to understand also what we're called, who called certain people certain things. Did Jesus address his own people in a way that we would address them today? And it said that even the Jews did not believe in Jesus Christ. So if you think they're the answer to be saved as Christians, think again. Your ignorance will not save you, because wide is the way many people take, such as you, but few will find it, this narrow path. You see, Jesus called the Jews blind. Blind fools, blind guides, brood of vipers, children of hell, children of the devil, children of the wicked one. Dogs, evil, adulterous, evil generation, faithless and perverse fools, generation of snakes, generation of vipers, hypocrites. As Netanyahu lies on every ceasefire, hypocrites. Faithless, perverse, fools, generation of snakes, generation of vipers. And they're proving it every day for 2 years now. People of little faith, perverse generation, they continue with this LGBTQ LMNOP, and all God did was create male and female and ask us to go forth and multiply and not judge each other, but they will judge your preference and make you change who you are. And that is the definition of blasphemy according to every Christian. According to every real Jew, according to every Hindu and Muslim, we stand united. 95% of the world, don't mess with me on this. Brood of vipers, sons of those who killed the prophets, sons of those who killed Jesus Christ with the Holy Roman Empire. Believing, unbelieving generation that still unbelieves. Israel itself means to struggle with God, those that struggle with God. And I pray for those that struggle with God, but I don't want their struggling to ruin the world from that paganism. Unrighteous generation, whitewashed tombs, those who killed the prophets, you who are full of hypocrisy and wickedness, you who reject the prophets, wicked synagogue of Satan. Revelation 2:9-3-9 is upon us. And I want you to know that even Ezekiel talked about these candles coming down and how one day we would be reunited with Russia, even Edgar Casey, and I thought, how could that happen? And I see it happening today. Putin's Kinzhal, White Swan, Reshnik, Su-25, it's in production. It's in production. Hardcore has been since Jackwagon Joe, courtesy of a defunct United States government that's owned completely by Benjamin Netanyahu. In New Mexico, we have Representative John Block. He was exposed by his daughter, bribed by Israel. AIPAC controls Trump, so Jennifer Jones can prove. And it seems like AIPAC is controlling Trump. And it seems like that Trump is scared of Netanyahu. And it seems like we as the American public need to protect our president to get that man that none of us voted for out of our White House, to protect our president so that we can actually go forward with what we voted for, which was a pathway of peace, not the expansion of Israel at the cost of every single relative of an American in Egypt, Saudi, Lebanon, Syria, Saudi. You see, we're a country of citizens that have the equal rights of everyone else over here. So why should they lose their grandparents or their cousins at the cost of some paganistic country that obviously owns our politicians? The MiG-31 is up. The F-35s to the Caribbean. Putin's Su-35 is now out to Venezuela. So we have F-35s, they have the Su-35s, and Putin just gave Iran a $9 billion gift of Su-35s and crews to fight Israel. This is no shit Sherlock happening right now. Tomahawks have been canceled, but we still have Netanyahu begging for it so that he can basically start World War III. What kind of man is Zelensky? What kind of man is Netanyahu? Well, I'm going to tell you, they're piles of crap, C-R-A-P. They need to get off the world stage because they're killing all of their countrymen. They're not fooling anybody. They're just people that are basically bribing the United States, our politicians, and their only thing that they're peddling is war. They need to be stopped. They need to be basically put in a prison, or we need to hand them over to one man that I trust, one man that teaches people how to fly. And he's been doing it for 25 years, and it's not a U.S. politician, it's Vladimir Putin. And he's proven something. You know what he's proven? He's proven he's a pretty good leader. He called us out on Iraq, on Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and today he's calling us out. He's calling Israel out. And what are we doing in the Ukraine when I was in high school, was Russia? El Segundo, Chevron, fire, explosion, courtesy of China, Gavin Newsom. You really think that you're going to hang in there with that kind of leadership, California? You need to get that out. Iskander is in there. We have France, Germany, Spain, Greece, Turkey, Argentina, Brazil, all unifying against the United States, all solidifying BRICS, ruining the petrodollar, the United States greenback, all because of Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump, I give you a week to shit can this bastard, or he's going to ruin you, your platform, dissolve MAGA, and start World War III. We need to get rid of Zelensky now. We need to get rid of Netanyahu now. This is the demands of the United States of America and all the people. If you think that CBS News, just because the Jews own CBS, MTV, and now TikTok, if you think that they're influencing everybody, you and me, you can kiss my ass. I'm not selling you one commercial. Please like, share, and subscribe and spread, because we got people we need to save, and the only way we can do that is through what's called love. They're not loving anybody. They're dishing out hate, these brood of vipers. And I'm just wanting you to know that, and we can't keep up with their hate. Okay? We have proof now that AIPAC is controlling Senator Marco Rubio and Trump, and it's not looking good. Puerto Rico is now locked and loaded. We have 2 million basically that are in Italy that are saying not in my name. These are Jews. The Jews in America are saying stop this, not in my name. So he does not have an alliance of American Jews, Israeli Jews. This is an out-of-control dictator. His name's Benjamin Netanyahu. On behalf of the people of China, they have an out-of-control dictator too. His name is Xi Jinping. These dictators represent communism. This is the cancer of the world that we need to exterminate. These tomahawk requests by Zelensky and Netanyahu are at the cost of the freedom of the United States, Europe, and Russia. They're not fooling any of us. Now, Netanyahu, who wants to basically sabotage our peace, mark my words, as Trump even was giving this peace plan, Netanyahu was caught bombing 3 times during Trump's speech. President Trump, you've got to basically abandon this shitbag because he's done nothing but abandon you. As you talked about your peace plan, this shitbag behind me was basically bombing people 3 times during your speech. We have conclusive proof. When are you going to understand that this guy is an out-of-control maniac working on his own, now talking about the basically Israel taking over everything from Israel to Iran down into Saudi Arabia, as you're on a soap stool talking about peace and a peace plan on some sort of Nobel Peace Prize? How in the world could you consider yourself for that when all you're doing is backing this shitbag here in Zelensky, sir? This is not what we voted for. We voted for you, not this shitbag behind me that's probably responsible for Charlie Kirk, who's definitely responsible for the destruction of Israel. Now he's going after the West Bank, which wasn't even a part of the agreement. And now I want America to know that we have U.S. troops on the ground using Patriots at the cost of this maniac who is not listening to the commander-in-chief. So as our commander-in-chief is talking about a ceasefire, this shitbag behind me blows up 3 other countries simultaneously. When will you understand that he's not listening to you, President Trump? And is it going to be at the cost of the United States servicemen? Because I don't want to lose one U.S. soldier, not one of my boys, period, over a man that defies direct orders of several ceasefires. And right now, as you're talking about a ceasefire, this shitbag is bombing people and talking about his war plan. So who are you fooling, Trump? Are you really just his puppet? Because that's the way it's seeming to the world when you get on a soap stool and talk about peace and you allow this shitbag behind me to blow up the world. And I don't give a crap what you say or who you're going to regulate because you don't own me and there's no commercial here. I am sick of it. The world is sick of it. You need to end this shitbag's relationship with the United States and Zelensky's. You're now following Jackwagon Joe's exact warpath plan, proving that you're owned by BlackRock, proving that you're owned by Israel and AIPAC, united with our Congress, proving that you're all standing in a unification of a violation of Article 2, Section 4, bribery of the United States Constitution. These are facts. This guy is a war criminal. All of Europe stands united. The time is now for us to stand in an alliance with Russia to take back Europe, to take back what the Jews have disintegrated, starting with Netanyahu blowing up all the children and people in Lebanon with explosive pagers. That turned the tide for freedom. That was orchestrated by this shitbag here who used the same terminology to kill the president of Iran in a chopper. These are the same fingerprints we're examining. It could have been the same shitbag putting an explosive mic on Charlie Kirk's shirt or using an air gun 50 caliber in the back, while we see his Mossad, basically bodyguards for the day, do a lot of handoffs immediately around the scene as Charlie's dying on the floor. There's a lot of shitbag organization going on here with our stolen money, and they killed the messenger. This is the leader of the shitbags that did it, I guarantee you, because look what we're doing now. Did you not vote for peace? I voted for peace. What about you? I know a lot of Venezuelans that voted for peace, and now we're in war with Venezuela. Wait a second. Aren't they Christians like us? Can't we just, like, through the name of Jesus Christ, form an alliance with Cuba and Venezuela? The answer is yes. And the reason why we can is because this shitbag satanic pagan behind me is destroying America and the world, so his paganistic cult of liars that are Polish can get away with murder. So Putin has a big Gaza offer for Israel, and Putin, you know what your offer should be? If this shitbag does one more thing, why don't you give him a gift, courtesy of Jesus Christ? Because the Christians of the world are sick of this shitbag and everything that he represents. And if you're an old grandma or grandpa and say, no, Chris, you're wrong, I stand with Israel, well, why don't you turn on the TV and see all the kids that they're murdering and tell me how guilty they are? And if that's still where you stand, go melt yourself in a pot of hot oil in hell, because basically that's where you belong. Jesus, he taught us to protect all of the children, regardless of their race, regardless of who and what you think they are. Nobel Peace Prize. Trump, you're not getting it. You don't deserve it. Not at all. You would deserve it if you told Netanyahu to eat a big bunch of orange balls. But you're letting him get away with murder. The true hero is Greta Thunberg, some little girl who risked her life at least to feed children. I'm the president of Drill Baby Drill. I'm an oil man, and that is my statement. What you're doing, how we're supporting Israel is a crime. All funding, all food to them should be stopped immediately. You give what you get. And we see what you're giving, and that's what you should be getting. It's called fuck around, find out. Ireland, you need to pick up some guns, and so do you. United Kingdom, so do you, Europe, and the only way I see you doing it is if we grow a pair of balls in tandem with Christ, with Russia, to take back what is ours, and that is the rock of love that we all stand on united. So, Greta, you did a great job out there. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. I want all kids to protect everything that they can so that you can learn what you can learn so that we can have a cleaner planet. And we're only going to do that as if we can use what we have and make it better. There's riots in Switzerland. Minneapolis, Chicago, and Portland have been lost. We need to examine all the Muslims there and how many contracts they're filling out. I would ask Brock to help me out with Minneapolis, but he needs to be in California. El Segundo, it is basically a show. And like I just showed you, Netanyahu bombed 3 times while Trump was giving his peace talks. Just ridiculous. We have the Su-57, S-500 in series production with Iskander. And we're just sitting on our butts talking tough, and I want you to know that. There's nothing that can happen that's going to be beneficial as long as that we keep all of this type of stuff up. And it is just a sad day in America when we have AIPAC controlling our cabinet and our Senate and our Congress. And Elliot Brandt right here, CEO of AIPAC, we basically have conclusive proof on all of this. And the weird thing is that they're just right out in the open saying it. And I've showed you Anthony Aguilar, a lieutenant colonel, and he was giving us point-blank facts on how the Israeli IDF is murdering children as they're going for food, women and children. And it's just making stuff look bad. As far as the Kinzhal, United States Navy, be on high alert. This Admiral Zherkov that they've let out and Krishnov that they've let out, these new warships are things with zircon that we can't compete with. And so once these things fly to us, you have 30 seconds to make a decision. We need double redundancy on everything as far as everything that we are protecting. Do not hesitate, and you cannot hesitate. And these are just facts. As far as this new gift, I don't think it was just Su-35s delivered to Venezuela. I think they're nuclear armed. I think we need to be concerned with the S-400, S-500 system and look at Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua as hotbeds and potential places for nuclear short-range arms to be placed against the United States of America. The reason is, if we're going to allow the Ukraine to do this, he's going to do this too. So if we do this, he's going to do this, period. And we are the troublemakers. He is responding with the trouble we are creating. If we stop NATO, EU, and Zelensky, we're not going to have nuclear missiles in our backyard. But at the rate that we're going, I guarantee you we are, and these are not old-fashioned nukes. These are nukes that can blow up the state of Texas. That's how big they are. He's got the Poseidon in the Gulf of Mexico. He is not asleep at the wheel. We have nothing but bullshit politicians that lie to us. I wish this administration was more transparent, but ever since the Epstein debacle, I think MAGA stands divided by 50%, because who are we protecting here? Child molesters? I ask you. So this is basically what is going on, and I want to represent the right side, and I know you do too. And that's all I'm asking you to do, is to represent the right side. And it's hard to make a decision on as to sometimes how to read people, so you have to go onto their track record. A lot of people don't know when I keep on mentioning this buddy of mine, Brock. He's a crypto genius. And whereas I've been the oil and gas genius in inventing fracking technology for shale, Brock has done some tremendous things with Tether and banking and efficiency. And together with clean energy and natural gas, Brock and I offer a new, cleaner way of doing crypto in data centers, even through heat transfer and sustainable technology. So whereas nuclear is knocking right at the forefront, we see a way in which we can work with SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, and the technology we have to work with new sciences and concrete batteries, and graphenes. And I believe he could turn Silicon Valley back into a $1 trillion production house. And so right now I'm working in South Dakota. Brock's working in DC. He's been working in New York. He was behind Eric Adams, and also we have this Curtis Lewa, who I've liked myself. But he's trying to stabilize America. And I think that it's time for perhaps California to have a crypto genius, an old actor. He's the first kid, by the way, and was in the Mighty Ducks, but that's Brock. And I think he'd be a good choice for California, whereas I think that Elon Musk might be good for Texas. But Texas needs something because Texas has become an underachiever with the amount of oil and gas taxes that we have. Me, myself, I might do some moves up in South Dakota, we shall see. And that just depends on if the nation really needs some sustainability. Regardless, I'm going to be planting about 30,000 trees up in that state with Joby Sinclair Weeks and with Brock Pierce because, well, we like to defend the United States and the nation so that we can breathe better. Now, that's just as far as that's concerned. But again, we've got some people that really care about this country. And if we have self-made billionaires that actually care, I want you to know that Trump was not the first billionaire that was attacked, and that there are several of us. And every time we raise our head and our hand in the name of freedom, we're attacked. And so Brock is out there. He's doing great. Joby, by the way, was one of the first people to expose Epstein Island. And as that, they threw him under a ankle bracelet and under house arrest because they don't want us to know the truth. And I feel that was nothing but a place for the Mossad to collect information so that they could blackmail us. And I think that no one has been able to prove me wrong on that. So we have a lot of things that we're facing, and we have cultures that are coming in here that are disintegrating America. We have the Young Turks. I used to listen to him, and I was completely against him. Now I see the commonality of hate that we both share, and through that, when you share a common enemy, it makes you a friend. And I see parents just trying to raise their children in harmony, and then I see a perverse, wicked generation come in and try to alphabet soup what God has created. And the people of faith are standing united in this. So in this debate behind me, they ask us, well, what is more scary, the Muslims or the Jews? And as a Christian, I'll tell you, well, lately I haven't seen really what the Muslims have done to me. And the Christians, well, I am a Christian. As far as Jews' involvement in the percentages, well, I can add up names like Silverstein, 9/11. I can add up Netanyahu. I can add up Zelensky. I can add up Soros. I can add up all the judges that have actually gone after Trump, except for 2 of them. And I want to ask you why they're all from the same clan. And when are we going to understand that that clan is destroying America? As a Christian, I want you to understand that even after they killed Jesus Christ, they still mock Christ. They still do not believe he is the Messiah, the Mashiach. Their hearts are still hardened, and they are still a brood of vipers. And today, what we see are not Jews. Today, what we see is the synagogue of Satan, Revelation 2:9-9. My name is Chris Sanders. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. Understand I got a new book out called The Emperor Wears No Clothes. The Emperor Wears New Clothes. My friend Jack Harrer, good buddy of mine, dear friend in life, and that's when I was able to give him some genetics which he gave to Hans, and since then we've had 52 Cannabis Cup winning awards for the strain Jack Herer, which has saved many, many lives out there, including my mom's, and for at least 8 years while we had stage 4 cancer. I like to add in as far as Act 1, Scene 1, when Jesus met the disciples, they were mending their nets. I'll say this another way. When Christ met the disciples, marijuana was in their hands. And then with that, they made the lame walk and the blind see. And 7% of Jews have glaucoma, and today CBD has made more veterans walk that never were supposed to walk ever. How the Messiah had this, and how the holy anointing oil is cannabis, olive oil, cinnamon oil, frankincense, and myrrh. How we can let Big Pharma make one of the ingredients of the holy anointing oil in the Bible illegal itself proves that they are the synagogue of Satan itself. And to say that God did a bad job on a plant is blasphemy. And to say that God did a bad job on the sex that you were created is blasphemy. We need to recognize what blasphemy is so that we can live in the light and love and understand what the darkness is. Afghanistan was nothing but darkness for Big Pharma. Today, we have it not. It is owned by China. It is owned by Russia. It has been gifted to the Taliban because Joe Biden, Anthony Blinken, committed treason against the United States of America by aiding and abetting the enemy. That's with Secretary of State Blinken. That's with Lloyd Austin. That's with the entire last administration. They need to be held accountable, and that is according to the words of the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you for joining us today. God bless you, and amen.